So please welcome your moderator, the Senior Director for Business Development and Marketing of Adobe in the USA, Nick Bogaty. Nick.
Have a seat. Hi, I'm Nick Bogaty. I run the digital publishing business at Adobe. Joining me are Ruth Feldman, who's the International Editorial and Creative Director at Martha Stewart Living, and Simon Carrington, who's the publisher of Top Gear magazine. We are going to show you some examples and results in the marketplace of how tablet editions over the last 3 years are starting to really attract significant audience of readers, and some good news and some slightly scary news that we're seeing from our analytical data of being in business for the past 3 years with a product called DPS. Just to give you a little bit of a feeling of how far we've gone, it seems like tablets have been around for a very long time. But at the Berlin show 3 years ago, I think it was the first one, the FIPP event, I worked on a prototype with Wired magazine. And I showed on that stage at that first event, before the iPad came out, what we thought a digital magazine in the future would look like. On a Dell notebook with a keyboard, with a flipped screen, and an accelerometer with duct tape on the top, so we could do it in one portrait landscape and one landscape mode of the magazine. To think about where we were 3 years ago, to talk about now about how these digital businesses are really starting to get to scale, is a remarkable feat for our industry just in 3 years. So it's highly encouraging to me. The one thing that is that really shows this for me, this is from Mary Meeker's last report on the internet from KPMG. And this shows average time spent in various forms of media versus the advertising spend. In the rational market, those two would be even. So you see here with television and radio, but mostly television, they're even. So the percentage of time spent from users is the same as the advertising spend. Any market would have that's a rational market, would be equal between the two. The print business is highly irrational. So the time spent in the print business is very small compared to other medias, but the advertising spend is very high. And that's very bad news for print. Extremely bad news. That means at some point, media buyers are going to make a rational decision and correct that discrepancy. The mobile side, however, is very good news. So the time spent versus the advertising spend, the time spent is far greater than the advertising spend. So the purpose, the reason for our products, and the purpose of this panel today is to show how publishers are transitioning from the scenario of not very good future business in print to tremendous opportunity in mobile. So that's the sort of the theme of this. This is what devices look like without your content on it. You should be aware that you have enormous power with very big companies around the world, including my company, but mostly including retailers of content like Apple, Amazon, Google, and others. Without your content, they're empty devices, they're made of glass and metal, and it's important for you to remember that when you negotiate with these companies. We launched DPS, Digital Publishing Suite, to enable you to bring your content to these and to create highly engaging experiences like you see here, using the tools that you already use today, like InDesign. As we transition from print to mobile, we're transitioning from marketplaces that look like this to marketplaces that look like this. It's directly analogous, and this is where future readers and your future customers are going to get their products. 80% of all of those magazines on the iTunes store, on the iTunes newsstand, are made with DPS, are made with Adobe. And the reason for that is customers like the product that they're getting from digital magazines. Since we have started this business 3 years ago, we've delivered 125 million magazines from our servers to consumers around the world, and we're delivering 2 million every single week. The ramp is increasing significantly where the audiences are starting to get to scale. And again, the whole idea is to transition from print experiences and transition that discrepancy between time spent and ad dollars from print to digital. It's having really, really good effects in engagement time. The average engagement time for a media and entertainment website, 9 minutes a month. Average engagement time in digital magazines, this is according to our data in aggregate, 45 minutes a month. If we collectively can get audiences from print to digital, and you have these types of engagement experiences, you're going to have a very healthy advertising business. Since we've started our development, in 2 years, the last 2 years, we've invested almost no dollars in the creative components of building digital magazines. You'll see examples from Simon and Ruth where their digital products are really, really beautiful, and we feel like we don't need any additional creative engineering work to be done all the way upstream in InDesign. What we feel that all of the work that needs to be done is getting that audience to transition to your properties as fast as possible in digital, and I'll just give you an example of this. This is a feature that we just built, and it's a previewing feature where a customer will search for Entertainment Weekly. They will start to read the pages of Entertainment Weekly, and then Time Inc. says at some point they're going to put up a paywall. And so this shows the customer flow all the way through that process. This is early data that we just launched in July with this feature. This is early data, but for people who hit the paywall, 6% of them turn out to be subscribers, and 15% of them actually buy the digital issue. Those are phenomenal conversion rates for any of your consumer marketing campaigns, and are really pointing to something hopeful for us. I want to talk a little bit about platforms. For all those 2 million publications that we deliver every week, 95% of those are to iOS, or 97% to iOS, only 3% to Android. But this is the projection of the market share of iOS over time. And the Apple market share in devices is going to decrease. It will absolutely decrease, and it's already happening. And so it's very important for you and us to build the capabilities that you can employ a multi-screen strategy. The reason why we started in InDesign was Adobe's had a long tradition, and these are the founders, John Warnock and Chuck Geschke of Adobe, of creating picture-perfect, beautiful design that is in your print magazines. And that's why we started with digital publishing up in InDesign. The number of tablets and the cost of producing this, I think, is unsustainable for you, especially in the short term. And so while we started in InDesign, we're starting to allow for digital publishing out of web CMSs. So really, in the old days, your web systems and your print systems were totally separate, and they're coming together now through our engineering. Here's an example of the back end of Vanity Fair in a web CMS that Adobe owns called Adobe Experience Manager. But we'll also be adding modules next month, releasing modules for WordPress and Drupal as well. And finally, these experiences from web CMSs don't produce ugly-looking magazines. They produce beautiful, beautiful magazines, and I encourage you to take a look at Vanity Fair, which is produced, not from InDesign, but is produced from a web CMS all the way through to the iPhone. This is available on the iTunes Store now. So I will be quiet now, and then we will hear from actual publishers and see some of these creatives. So first is Ruth Feldman.